Oh, what's going on, guys? Semen the Piso back once again with yet another video. So I realized I spoke about every single third, fourth, fifth tier benefit or negative about semen retention. Ultimately, what semen retention is celibacy, right? You're not having sex, you're not masturbating, no release of any sort, no edging of any kind that will lead to release. So I decided that with this video, I am going to talk about the myriad benefits that we get from this practice. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me try to do this to the best of my ability. I am talking from a 9-month streak, so there are a lot of benefits that sort of molded or melted into some of the higher benefits that you get the longer you are on this practice. We're gonna try to do our best to describe the benefits, starting from a week to 2 weeks to a month, 2 months, and then eventually where I am. I'm gonna try my best to explain them as best as I can. So stick with me, I'm gonna bring you the truth yet. So let's talk about a week. We know, right, when you save your seed, this is all assuming, right, that the variables and the conditions in your body are correct. You are not edging, you have not released, you are not looking at any lewd material, anything like that. You have saved your seed, you have not released whatsoever. So after a week, you are going to, all the brain fog, at least this is all based on my experience. The brain fog that you guys would have before the 7th day, before the end of that week, the first week of the streak, is gone. You are not going to stumble on your words. You are not going to try to find something to say or something clever to say, or you won't be caught up looking at something and thinking about it again and again and again and not being able to thoroughly describe that thing. At least that's how it worked for me. After a week in regards to brain fog, I was very, I was good. Again, I was able to have like coherent sentences. I was able to chat. I was able to think a little more clearly. Definitely not as good as I currently am now, but it's definitely a start. I'll be honest about that. So brain fog is gone. Another thing is that you are not going to feel as tired as you used to when you were trying to build up your strength again. One big thing that a lot of people notice on this practice of semen retention is that when they release, right, they feel tired. Of course, they try to attribute it to, oh, actually ejaculating and losing their seed, losing the sperm. But that's not it. I mean, that's the catalyst of it, but that's not the reason why you are low on energy, low on stamina. The reason is because how semen retention works, or how the body works rather, is that as we know, the purpose of human beings, as we could deduce from the systems of the body and how they work and function, is that we are meant to reproduce. We are meant to procreate perpetually, which is why men, one sperm can inseminate the egg, and once those things are conjoined, a baby comes, or a baby goes in the gestation period, and then however many months it takes for the baby to be conceived and developed, it will do that and then go out of the, you know. Men actually, whenever in each ejaculation are millions of sperms. So naturally we are meant to procreate. When you ejaculate and you're trying to regain all of your energy again, your body is gonna pull nutrients and vitamins from every single system, every single part of the body. Bone cartilage gets taken from. Healthy red blood cells are getting taken from. The air you breathe, the things you eat, even the microscopic, microcosmic atoms of every single experience that you have in this physical reality is all being brought into your semen, because the creation of sperm is the prioritization of the body in order to carry out its biological primary directive, which is reproduction. So that's the problem. When you are physically destitute, right? When you are physically weak when you have masturbated, it's only because your body is trying to get sperm all again by taking from the various parts of the body in order to create the constituent parts that make up the sperm. So there's that. When you are 7 days in, you're feeling this physical power again. You can go to the gym. If you've been going to the gym, your physical stamina is higher. Your strength is better. Your muscle growth is even more improved. So that's definitely a very powerful benefit on the 7th day. The spiritual stuff don't really start coming in. Based on my personal experience, 7 days, you get the brain fog disappears, your physical strength comes back. And then also, like I said, due to your physical strength returning, you are not getting tired as often. right? So you have a lot of stamina, you can do a lot of things. Another thing that I would say is really good that comes back about, right? Due to a lack of brain fog, you are now able to think much more clearly. Not as clear as someone that will be on a 2-month, 1-month streak, but you are thinking clearly again, which means that you can do some mental math. You're not really distracted by the outside world. It's almost as if they don't have an effect on you. You know what I mean? I'm going to describe that. So as we know, individuals, we described this in an earlier video, our thoughts are things. Individuals that have their own brains and are able to think, they are pushing out these thoughts into the world. And if you do not have a proper shield, which is due to refined, reinforced energy, cultivated energy, due to some sort of spiritual practice, i.e. semen retention, lads, you will be bombarded by all these thoughts, and then you will lose focus, you will be distracted, and you will get taken off of your polarizing point. You will lose concentration, you lose focus. As you are on your first week of semen retention, you will gain this sort of shield around you, and you will not sort of get affected or deterred by individuals that walk around in your space that will inevitably have negative thoughts toward you, because you are building up a reservoir of vital energy, which will on a pheromone level, which is what you exude from your body unknowingly, that sets people off, that makes them uncomfortable. You will not get distracted by these things or the effects that people will push out due to their thinking faculties. That's 1 week. Let's go into a month. You're a month in on the practice. You're locked in. You did not, of course, remember, these benefits are going to come about predicated upon the fact that you did not edge, you did not look at lewd material, you did not release and at any sort, at any kind, no wet dreams, nothing. These are the benefits. Physical energy goes through the roof. You feel incredibly strong. Your gains are coming up at the gym. At least this is how it was for me. I realized that I'm doing a lot of pull-ups with less breaks in between. I have a lot of physical stamina. I have a better balance. I actually feel much more of a pep. What I've realized in this world is that a lot of men in general are lazy. They are very, very tired perpetually, and they do nothing. They really don't do any physical work. For the most part, okay, we have those guys that are, which I feel bad for, the guys that have those laborious tasks, like they work in a supermarket and then they have to sort of bring in pallets and pallets of food from a delivery truck and put them out into the shelves. Of course, they have their lunch break, and then they come back and they do the same thing. They go home, they have sex with their wives, they ejaculate, all that stuff. And they have low energy. Of course, they would be able to prolong this activity, these physical activities, if they were to retain their seed. But because they decided to get unionized with the world, they decided to get married, they decided to follow the ways of this society, naturally, they lost their energy and they're not maintaining anything. So 1 month, you will have enormous stratospheric physical energy. Mental power now. So this gets a little deep. At least for me, I found myself pondering a lot. And I'm going to tell you something as well, because even if you guys sort of feel bad about losing your streaks, right? The longer you have your streaks to be like you were on the practice for 2 months and then you relapse and then you immediately got back on, you were on it for 1 month, you relapsed, you immediately returned, 2 months, so on and so forth. The effects are compounding. Once upon a time, I'm going to tell you a personal story that leads to a mental benefit that comes about a month in the practice. I used to listen to a lot of music. I used to go from place to place, having my music in my ears, constantly needing some stimulation of my mind, because your mind lacks energy. It's trying to, I'm going to say this, when you are not on the practice of semen retention, when you've released your seed, your mind is trying to find things to do, anything to do, whether it be completely basic stuff like looking on Instagram, looking at half-naked women and just sort of lusting in general, to just having any sort of activity of any sort. So I found myself listening to a lot of music. I'm flipping on social media consistently to wee hours of the night, trying to keep my mind stimulated. After I passed 1 month on this practice, your mind becomes almost as quiet as like the beginning of the day in some remote island somewhere. You don't have a need for these things. And even now, of course, I'm scootering from place to place with my speakers, right? But I don't need to necessarily have my mind stimulated. I am the source of that stimulation. And that is something that you gain a month into the practice. You are able to come up with thoughts. You are now conceiving ideas, right? These are seedlings of thought. It's an amalgamation of what you have taken, what your subconscious has taken in from the world around you. And now you are putting it into effect. You are giving it form. You're giving it shape. And then you're going to get onto the sequence of trying to make that idea reality. This is one of the most powerful benefits that you get a month into this practice. For me, it's worked out with giving a lot of ideas to the channel. Because I've been on, like I said, I've been on the street for a very long time. I'm able to really conceive a lot of ideas without any need for stimulation from the outside whatsoever. You almost become a battery, a source of energy for yourself. Another benefit is now a spiritual benefit. You now start to fortify and reinforce your aura. We all have the aura field, even when you're not on the practice, and it communicates with the world in various ways. That's the truth. We know this to be a fact. But the more you are on this practice of semen retention, the more you are staying celibate, you are now creating an identity for yourself. And as I described in my previous video talking about aura, you are now opening the door to the various tunnels of fate that is afforded to your current reality of the conditions that you have fulfilled in your body, in your mind, of the refined energy that you have been saving at that point in time. Let's break it down a little bit. So, because you are a month on the practice of saving your seed, you are now opening realities, right, of the higher realms that you now have access to, granted that you stay on the practice and you stay focused. This is why this practice is incredibly powerful, lads. This is why I say when you're going to have your streaks, you're going to be tempted, but stay fast, hold strong, hold the line, because you are opening realities that are not available to the average person, that will bring you all these various types of success in various aspects of your life that you were not even aware of. I will say that with me. Right now, I feel like I'm not even supposed to have this job that I currently have. But I have it because I stayed celibate, I stayed focused, and I held the line. And now I'm in a place that is of infinite possibilities that will lend to an even greater future if I stick to the practice. Also, in terms of emotions, you are now not being completely reactive to the things around you. Of course, in New York, because there's just such a myriad of people, right? There is a variety of individuals that are in this space. People from Turkey, people from Japan. They all have their various cultures and various behaviors and various norms, and then we all clash as we go into these public spaces, i.e. the MTA, the subway, and just various spaces in general in public. Sometimes we react to these people unwillingly, reflexively, because we don't have control over our emotions, because this is just how we're raised. We are always we had to prove ourselves. This is the ego talking. When you are a month on this practice, I'm not saying it's going to be completely mastered, but I'm saying that there is now an understanding and a control of the various reflexes of the ego, which is to prove itself in this world to individuals that cannot truly process your actions. I.e., even though your ego is reflexively trying to express a behavior, which is trying to sort of mediate the situation, the individuals of this world who are generally not on the practice will not understand and interpret that information how you wanted the information to be interpreted. What you will understand is that you will take a more stoic approach. You will take a more still approach with life. You are not out to prove anything. You are not out to explain anything. You don't have to tell anybody anything. You don't owe anyone anything. This is what begins a month on this practice. For me, at least, we've had various things. Of course, I'm an individual with a high energy, and of course, I speak very, very well, and I tend to think of things in a very, very multi-angular way. Individuals in general will not like me. Even if you didn't have these personality traits, people are not going to like you either. Because of that, people try to start conflicts, start problems. I have nothing to prove. I'm not fighting a damn soul. I just walk away now. I don't even have communication. I just walk away, because it's not important, because I have no need to prove myself. The world will continue doing what the world does, and Sombra will continue doing what Sombra does. When you are a month on this practice, you will learn that faculty. You will plant that seed, and it will start to grow into something that will produce that faculty. This is all coming from a month on the practice. Now, let's talk about 2 months and on, 3 months on. All these benefits are going to apply to all of that. So the aforementioned physical strength, you are not going to feel tired. And also something that happens with the vital energy, right, is that there's going to be some sort of magnetic pull to the things in life. You will be woken up without alarm to just do things, and you're not going to understand why. It's just, so for me, like now, I of course I planned this. I wanted to go out and do some recording, but there are various times when I just get a pull, a need, a yearning to do something. And I think that's the overabundance of physical energy that is accumulated from this practice that's calling me to commit an action upon the world, propelling the great plan, propelling fate. This is what's gonna, this is based on my experience, and I believe it's going to happen to you guys as well if you're on this practice for this long. Remember, assuming you're not edging, you're not peeking at lewd material, you are not having sex, you are not releasing whatsoever. So that's another physical benefit in addition to increased stamina. You are not tired. All of those back pains, guys, lower back pains, knee issues, I do not have one problem whatsoever. I can do leg days 3 times a week, lifting heavy, and I will have no weakness. This is another thing that's going to happen the longer you are on this practice. You have an abundance of vital energy, mental energy. You are now pondering. This is a mental benefit of increased mental energy being 2 months on the practice. You are now pondering a lot of things that were not interesting to you before will tend to be interesting. What has happened to this society now is that we are very, very addicted to very, very short bursts of dopamine. So much, in fact, that YouTube has produced their shorts, short clips that show things that's supposed to little tantalize our dopamine receptors, to give us a little dopamine, to keep us satiated for that second until we go to another thing, and then we get our dopamine receptors tantalized again and again and again and again and again and perpetually until we can't get enough. In addition to cultivating and reinforcing your energy, right, your vital, your spiritual energy, your refined energy, right, raw energy, you are also refraining from dopamine release. The whole act of ejaculation and orgasm, the reason why I feel so good is because there's an overload of dopamine in the brain. Because you are refraining from that, you are not necessarily needing or yearning for dopamine hits, which means all of those things, the modern society's attack on the individuals of this world will have no effect on you. What you are now interested in are long reads, the history of England, the history of technology in its world, in this modern society, and how it contributes to this culture. You are now being tuned in to a lot of information, right? And you can sit there for a long period of time and read this stuff and understand this stuff because you have more energy. This is one of the most underrated benefits in this practice. That's why you stay on the practice. And with this information, you are now physically changing your fate. You are now opening up doors and tunnels of fate that you will now belong in and have a choice to enter. By learning, imagine you're an individual, right? You are, say, African American, and then you have been on the practice of semen retention for 2 months. You decide to now learn Mandarin. You learn Mandarin and you stay on the practice because in addition to the overload of mental energy that you get from semen retention, you get skill acquisition. Everything that comes with being very, very powerful mentally. You now learn Mandarin. There is a tunnel of fate that opens up for you. You can now go to Shenzhen. You can now go to Beijing. You can now go to Hong Kong, Shanghai, Taiwan. These are all open to you because you have now paid the price of sacrificing your dopamine hits, right? Tantalizing your receptors by refraining from ejaculation. And you have learned Mandarin, right? The mental benefits from being 2 months on the practice are all completely underrated. Please, guys, hold the line. Now, spiritually, your aura is reinforced. Of course, everything, the same effects that people generally have 2 months in the practice, it's not going to be the same for you, perhaps. So for me, at least my personal experience, my aura, I'm a very compassionate person. You tend to clear out a lot of the karma, the garbage that you have accumulated in your lives, right? Your lives here. You become a clear individual. You're not harboring anything, which means they do not act as filters nor obstacles of your natural soul's light, which means that you are bringing everything possible to you that's available to you in that moment. This is very underrated, lads. I don't know if we really understand what we're doing. At least this is how I'm seeing it, right? This is how I've been experiencing it. Because your karma fields are cleared, you are now being enriched and filled, with that light, that power, that energy that's coming about from being months on the practice without fail, without looking, without distraction. This is what's very, very important. And you have to understand this. So your aura is going to be reinforced. As a result of your aura being reinforced, of course, your fates are different, right? You're getting access to the tunnels of fate for the higher realms. There are also many other benefits. Like I said, these are all based on my experiences. This is the things that I've noticed, and everything works differently with other people, of course, because our bodies are different, our phenotypes may be different, or our experiences are different. One will understand this. Generally, when you are very, very far on this practice, 1 month, 2 months, you will have a lot of stamina. You will have a lot of mental energy. And with the conjunction of those two, you will have the power to break through, so you are not locked into fates that are deemed for individuals that are born into a certain society or culture. This is what's very, very powerful and important about this practice of semen retention, of celibacy. Hold the line, gentlemen. You have no idea what you're doing on this practice. You think that because you're just saving energy, you're attracting women, right? Which is another benefit that comes about very, very early on the practice, but it's by no means important, because the moment you have indulged in the woman, you have now lost your energy and you have to start all over again, right? Do not get into that habit. Do not get into ejaculation. Hold the line. You will not see benefits in a month. You will not see benefits or a reasonable change in your life. You will not see it in a month. You will not see it in 2 months, 3 months. But trust me, your mental energy is through the roof, and you will be studying and being involved in something that you wouldn't be otherwise if you were not on the practice. I.e., me, Sombra, I learned Spanish in 2 years. I have no connection to the goddamn culture. Now that I'm in this new job that I also got based on my faith and piety to the celibacy practice, the semen retention practice, I am now in a gym where the majority of people speak Spanish. And I understand them, and we now have friends in new networks. I couldn't see this future from years back, only because I kept staying on the path. I stayed focused. I honed my energy. I refined my energy. I cultivated my power. And I got here. Trust me, the same is not going to happen with you guys, but something equivalent will. I promise you this. Last thoughts of this video, guys. There are various an abundance of benefits being celibate. Do not fall into this whole category of starting a family or having sex just for fun or ejaculating. These will not benefit you in the slightest. We are powerhouses of energy, and we have a whole bunch of creative energy in our DNA. All of us. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Nepalese, Russian. We all, especially as a man, only as a man, you have access to creative power that could transcend your life, your physical life, and transcend your spiritual reality. Stay the course on semen retention, and these things will be yours. All these gifts will be yours. The Buddhists talked about it. The Christians talked about it. And trust me, you will have the gifts. I still haven't recognized so much of them, of my personal gifts, but I know that they're there, and I know that more are on the way. So with that being said, that is all I have to say today. If you guys enjoyed that kind of content, like, comment, subscribe, share the video with some peers. Don't ever let this place get you down. You will not have any backup nor support on this practice of semen retention. Most likely you will not. Trust me, I haven't. And when you are changing your vibration completely due to the refined energy, the essences that is drawn about, that only comes about when you're on the practice of semen retention, hoarding that energy for a long period of time, you will change the individuals that are in your midst, and you will not have support. But trust me, it is nothing. Where you're going, you don't need that kind of support. You only need to stay focused. You only need to stay strong, and you only need to stay disciplined. Hold the line, gentlemen, hold the line. Be celibate, be on semen retention, and trust me, the gifts will come naturally. And stay radiant. I shall see you guys in the next video. Woo!